The sensory apocalypse. The weight of silence.
You've been displaced. The wind of the steppe is gone, replaced by the heavy, dry heat of the Peloponnese. You open your eyes in the year 480 BC. You are standing in the middle of a valley surrounded by high, jagged mountains. This is Sparta, but do not look for marble palaces or golden gates. Sparta is not a city. It is an armed camp made of stone and wood. In the 21st century, you are used to the noise of freedom. Music, engines, shouting. In Sparta, the first thing that hits your sleeper senses is the silence. The silence is not peaceful. It is a weapon. In Sparta, talking too much is a sign of weakness. They value laconic speech, short, sharp, and cold. The air smells of two things, olive oil and human sweat. The Spartans rub themselves with oil before they train, and they train from sunrise to sunset. To your modern nose, the smell is thick and heavy, like an old gym that hasn't been cleaned in 1,000 years. Your modern skin feels the weight of bronze. Even if you are not wearing armor, the atmosphere feels heavy, as if the law of the city is pressing down on your shoulders. You are in a world where individualism is a death sentence. You are a sleeper, and you have just entered the most disciplined cage in human history.
The biological shock. The black soup protocol.
In the simulation, your 21st century body is an insult to the Spartan ideal. You are soft. You are used to sugar, processed flour, and clean water. The Spartans look at you with a mix of disgust and pity. To survive the first week, you must adapt to the Spartan diet. You sit at a syssitia, a common mess hall where the warriors eat together. There is no menu. There is only the melazomos, black soup. You look at the bowl. It is a dark, purple-black liquid made of boiled pig's blood, salt, and vinegar. In the 21st century, you would call this a biohazard. In Sparta, this is the fuel of legends. You take the first sip. The taste is metallic, sharp, and incredibly salty. Your modern stomach wants to reject it instantly, but you use your nutritional analysis protocol. You realize that while the taste is terrible, the black soup is a perfect mix of protein, iron, and electrolytes. It is the ultimate pre-workout of the ancient world. To survive, you don't just eat it. You show endurance. You do not complain. You do not make a face. You finish the bowl and ask for nothing else. You have passed the first biological test. You're showing them that your sleeper mind can control your soft body. You are slowly moving from a foreigner to a tool that the state can use. But you realize the dark truth of the Spartan biology. They don't eat to enjoy life. They eat to stay alive long enough to die for the state.
The social minefield. The agoge logic.
You walk through the training grounds. You see children no older than 7 fighting with wooden sticks. They are barefoot, wearing only a single thin cloak in the cold morning air. This is the agoge, the most brutal education system ever designed. In the 21st century, we call this child abuse. In Sparta, this is manufacturing. They are not raising children. They are forging bronze weapons in human form. You are a stranger, which makes you a perioikoi, a free man but not a citizen. Or, if you're unlucky, a helot, a state slave. To keep your head, you must show utility. You find a group of young warriors practicing their phalanx formation. They are strong, but they are using static logic. They move as one, but they don't understand the biomechanics of the pivot. You take a piece of charcoal and draw on a flat stone. You show them the kinetic link protocol. You show them how to use the power of their legs and hips to increase the force of their spear thrust, rather than just using their shoulders. You show them the center of gravity and how to adjust their shield wall to absorb a shock without breaking the line. You are using 21st century sports science to upgrade the Spartan war machine. The instructors, the paedonomos, watch you with narrow eyes. They don't like your foreign wisdom, but they cannot ignore the results. You have just bought your safety. You are now the architect of the phalanx. You are the ghost in the machine of Sparta, and you are about to make the most dangerous army in the world even more lethal.
The Helot paradox. Strategic paranoia.
The year is 470 BCE. You have been in the Peloponnese for long enough to realize that the greatest enemy of Sparta is not the Persians, nor the Athenians. The greatest enemy lives in their own kitchens, works in their own fields, and builds their own homes. These are the Helots, the state-owned slaves who outnumber the Spartan citizens 7-1. In the 21st century, we call this an unsustainable social structure. In Sparta, they call it the way. You see the fear in the eyes of the Spartan elders. They sleep with their spears nearby not because they fear an invasion, but because they fear a revolution. You use your sociological analysis protocol. You explain to the Spartan kings that their current method of control, random violence and public humiliation, is inefficient. It creates martyrs and fuels the fire of hate. You introduce the concept of the panopticon, a system of social surveillance where the Helots feel they are being watched even when no Spartan is present. You show the Spartans how to use psychological gaslighting. You teach them to reward a few loyal Helots with minor privileges, creating a divide within the slave population. In the 21st century, this is counterinsurgency 101. In Sparta, you are teaching them how to turn a ticking time bomb into a controlled engine of labor. You are the architect of a psychological prison, and the bars are made of fear, not bronze.
The Cryptia Protocol. Intelligence in the shadows.
To maintain this panopticon, you are given access to the most secretive part of the Spartan state, the Cryptia. This is a group of the most promising young Spartans who are sent into the countryside with nothing but a knife. Their mission is to hide in the day and kill any Helot who looks too strong or too smart at night. In history, this is seen as a ritual of terror. You see it as a wasted opportunity for data gathering. You take control of the Cryptia's training. You do not just teach them how to kill. You teach them how to observe. You introduce the signal's intelligence, SIGINT, protocol. You show them how to track the movement of grain, how to listen for patterns of discontent in the common songs of the Helots, and how to identify the natural leaders before they can start rebellion. You create a network of invisible listeners. You show the young Spartans how to use a primitive version of cryptography using the skidly, a wooden staff used to wrap leather strips with coded messages. Now, the Spartan state knows what is happening in the furthest village in real time. You have turned a group of teenage assassins into a professional intelligence agency. But as you sit in the dark, reading the reports of neutralized threats, you feel the weight of the sleeper's guilt. You are using the logic of a modern security state to protect a society that lives on the blood of others. You realize that your improvements have made the Spartan lockdown perfect. You have removed the hope of the oppressed to keep the piece of bronze alive. You are the ghost in the machine of the Spartan shadow war, and you are starting to realize that the most dangerous thing in Sparta is not a sword, but the information you provide.
The ultimatum. Game theory and the Persian dust.
The year is 481 BCE. The son of Laconia is no longer a friend. It is a witness to the approaching storm. A group of men arrives at the borders of Sparta. They do not look like the Greeks. They are dressed in multicolored silks. Their beards are oiled and curled, and they carry the smell of exotic spices and thousands of miles of desert dust. These are the messengers of Xerxes, the king of kings. They carry a simple request: earth and water. In the 21st century, we call this unconditional surrender. In the ancient world, it was the price of survival. But you are standing in the Apella, the Spartan assembly, and you know that for a Spartan, survival without honor is a biological error. You watch the Spartan kings, Leonidas and Leotychidas. Listen to the ambassadors. The room is heavy with the scent of old bronze and tension. This is where you activate your strategic deterrence protocol. In the 21st century, we use game theory to predict the moves of an aggressor. You explain to Leonidas that the Persians are not just looking for land. They are looking for a narrative of fear. If Sparta bows, the rest of Greece falls like a house of cards. You advise Leonidas to ignore the traditional diplomatic politeness. You suggest a move that is both brutal and logical, throwing the ambassadors into a deep well and telling them to dig for their own earth and water. This is not just an act of anger. It is asymmetric signaling. You are telling Xerxes that the rules of the game have changed. You use your 21st century understanding of psychological escalation. By killing the ambassadors, you close the door to negotiation. You have forced the Spartans into a state of total war. You see the look in Leonidas' eyes. He understands the math of the sacrifice you are proposing. You have just turned a diplomatic crisis into a binary conflict. There is no more gray area. There is only the bronze and the dust. You are the architect of the ultimate defiance, and as the ambassadors disappear into the dark of the well, you realize you had just signed the death warrant of 300 men to save a civilization.
The logistics of the hot gates. SEM in 480 BC.
While the rest of Greece is arguing about who should lead the army, you are focused on supply chain management, SCM, protocol. Leonidas has decided to march to Thermopylae, the hot gates, with only 300 Spartans and a few thousand allies. In the 21st century, moving an army through a mountain pass is a matter of GPS and fuel. In 480 BC, it is a matter of calories, water, and the durability of leather. You look at the Spartan kit. Each man carries roughly 30 kilograms of equipment: the Aspis shield, the Dory spear, and the bronze cuirass. Over a long march, this weight causes structural fatigue on the human body. You introduce the logistic efficiency protocol. You show the Spartans how to use a modular pack system. You teach them how to distribute the weight across their hips and lower back, rather than just their shoulders, using basic ergonomics. You also focus on the water table. You know that the march to the north is dry. You use your geographical data analysis to identify hidden springs and wells along the route that the Persians won't find. You show the Spartans how to preserve meat using a high-sodium brine, salt, and vinegar, creating a primitive but effective energy ration that doesn't rot in the Greek sun. Most importantly, you manage the Allied integration. You have 7,000 Greeks from other cities joining the 300 Spartans. They are not trained like the Spartans. They are farmers, potters, and poets. You use your 21st century team building and leadership knowledge to create a simplified command structure. You teach them the visual signaling system, using the reflection of shields to communicate across the mountain ridges. You are turning a chaotic group of city-states into a synchronized military unit. You are the logistics officer of the hot gates, and because of your modern supply logic, the 300 Spartans arrive at Thermopylae not exhausted, but combat-ready. You have maximized their biological potential for the final collision.
The engineering of the wall. Structural suppression.
You arrive at Thermopylae. The pass is narrow, barely wide enough for a single wagon to pass between the cliffs and the sea. This is a perfect choke point. But the old Phocian wall in the pass is in ruins. Leonidas wants to rebuild it. You take control of the defensive engineering protocol. You don't just stack stones. You use your knowledge of structural physics and ballistics. You show the Spartans how to build a wall at an angle. You explain that a straight wall is easy to climb or push over, but an angled wall, like a modern bunker, deflects the energy of an impact and provides better line of sight for the defenders. You introduce the concept of kill zones. You design the wall with a funnel effect, forcing the Persian masses into a tiny area where their numbers mean nothing. You use your 21st century understanding of fluid dynamics, treating the Persian army like a liquid that must be constricted and stopped. As the first Persian scouts appear on the horizon, you stand on the top of your new wall. You see the million-man army of Xerxes, a sea of tents and flickering fires that stretches to the edge of the world. The Spartans are silent. They are combing their long hair and polishing their shields. In the 21st century, we would call this pre-game rituals. In Sparta, it is a preparation for a beautiful death. You realize the power of the wall you have built. It is not just a wall of stone. It is a psychological anchor. It gives the 300 men a place to stand where they feel invincible. You are the civil engineer of the apocalypse. And as you look at the Persian tide, you realize that your 21st century math is about to meet the 5th century steel. The Laconian lockdown is complete. The gates are closed, and the world is about to watch the sleeper's final stand.
The kinetic grinder. The physics of the phalanx.
The first day of the battle begins. You are standing behind the first rank of the Spartan phalanx. In front of you is a sea of Persian wicker shields and colorful tunics. Xerxes has sent the Medes and Scythians first. To the Persians, they are sending a wave of men. To you, the sleeper, you see a kinetic energy conflict. You look at the Spartan shield, the aspes. It is a 90-centimeter circle of wood covered in a thin layer of bronze. It weighs 7 kilograms. When 300 of these are locked together, they create a solid wall of energy. You use your biomechanics protocol to coach the younger Spartans. You don't tell them to fight harder. You tell them to lower the center of Massachusetts. You show them how to use the overhand thrust with the dory spear to target the neck and face, the only unprotected areas of the Persian scouts. You introduce the concept of force distribution. When the Persian wave hits the wall, the impact is spread across the entire line of 300 men. In the 21st century, we call this shock absorption. The Persians are hitting a wall that does not move because you have taught the Spartans to brace their back legs at a 45-degree angle, turning the entire phalanx into a human mountain. The sound is a sensory nightmare. It is a sound of bronze hitting wood, the screaming of dying men, and the rhythmic chanting of the Spartans. Ahoo! Ahoo! By noon, the narrow pass is filled with bodies. The Persians are literally climbing over their own dead to reach the Spartan spears. You see the psychological suppression working. The Persians have never seen men who do not run. They have never seen men who look at death with laconic boredom. You are watching the ultimate victory of systemic discipline over individual bravery. You are the one who refined the grinder. And as the sun sets on the first day, the Spartans have lost only a handful of men, while the Persian dead are counted in the thousands.
The Combat Medic Protocol. Ancient Trauma Care.
The second day brings the immortals, the elite guard of Xerxes. They are better armed, but they still face the same problem, the narrow space. But the Spartans are starting to get tired. They have microfractures in their bones and deep bruising from the constant impact. This is where you activate your trauma medicine protocol. In the 21st century, you know that infection and shock kill more soldiers than the actual weapons. You set up a triage center behind the Phocian wall. You don't use magic or prayers. You use sanitation and pressure. Wound irrigation. You show the Spartan women and older men how to use boiled water and strong wine alcohol to clean the deep cuts from Persian arrows. The suture protocol. You use thin silk threads and curved bronze needles to close the skin, preventing secondary hemorrhage. Pain management. You use concentrated willow bark tea salicin to keep the warriors awake and focused, even with broken ribs. You are performing modern field surgery with 5th century tools. One young Spartan, his arm nearly severed by a Persian axe, is brought to you. In history, he would die of blood loss. You use a tourniquet, a simple leather strap twisted with a stick, to stop the arterial spray. You save his life in 3 minutes. To the Spartans, you are a gift from Apollo. To you, you are just using basic first aid to keep the war machine running. You realize the sleeper's paradox. You are a man of peace, but you are using your medical knowledge to ensure that these men can go back into the line to kill again. You are the biological maintenance officer of the hot gates, and you are keeping the 300 men combat effective long after they should have collapsed.
The Anomaly betrayal. The logic of the end.
The night of the second day is cold. The smell of the dead is a thick, sweet fog in the pass. You are sitting with Leonidas near the fire. A man is brought into the camp, a local Greek named Ephialtes. In your history books, he is the ultimate villain. He has told Xerxes about the Anomaly path, a secret mountain trail that leads behind the Spartan position. You use your predictive modeling protocol. You don't need a map to know what is happening. You see the flickering torches of the Persian immortals moving high on the mountain ridges. Leonidas looks at you. He knows the end is coming. In the 21st century, we would call for an evacuation. But you understand the Laconian protocol. You suggest to Leonidas that he send the other Greek allies home. You explain the rear guard strategy. If everyone stays, everyone dies. If the 300 Spartans stay, they buy enough time for the rest of Greece to build a navy and prepare for the final victory at Salamis. This is strategic sacrifice. You are the one who helps him write the script of legend. You watch the allies leave in the mist of the early morning. Only the 300 Spartans, 700 Thespians, and 400 Thebans remain. There is no fear in the camp. There is only a strange, quiet focus. The Spartans are eating their breakfast as if it is a wedding feast. You realize that your modern logic of self-preservation is useless here. You are in a world where death is the final performance. You are the director of a tragedy that will echo for 2,500 years. You see Leonidas polish his helmet one last time. He looks at you and says, "Sleeper, when you go home, tell them we stayed." You realize he isn't talking to his king. He is talking to your future.
The final stand and the titanium archive.
The third day is not a battle. It is a slaughter. The Persians attack from both sides. The Spartans are surrounded. Their spears are broken, so they use their short swords, xiphos. Their swords break, so they use their hands and teeth. You are standing on the small hill where the last of the 300 will fall. You see Leonidas go down under a rain of arrows. You see the Spartans fight like lions to protect his body. In the 21st century, we call this heroic fanaticism. In the simulation, it is the most beautiful and terrifying thing you have ever seen. This is your final act as a sleeper. You go to the base of the Lion Monument, which will be built later, but you find a hidden crack in the rocks. You place your final archive. It is a silicon carbide plate designed to survive high temperatures and pressure. On it, you have engraved the 21st century truth of the Laconian lockdown. You have written the names of the men you saved with your tourniquets. You have written a warning to the future. Discipline is a tool, but do not let the tool become the cage. You seal the archive with a resin made from pine and wax. The Persian arrows fill the sky. The light of the sun is literally blocked out, just as the Spartan Dionysus predicted. You feel the digital desync starting. The bronze shields are flickering. The blood on the ground is turning into blue light. You touch the cold stone of the past and whisper the laconic goodbye, with it or on it. The Spartan mother's command regarding the shield.
The awakening. The echo of Thermopylae.
The simulation breaks. The smell of the black soup and the sound of clashing bronze vanish. You wake up in your chair in 2026. Your room is silent. Your heart is beating with the ahoo of the phalanx. You look at your phone. It is 11 p.m. You have been gone for 3 days in the simulation, but only 3 hours in reality. You immediately search for Thermopylae archaeology. You see a new report from today, March 31st, 2026. Researchers at the Hot Gates have discovered an unexplained anomaly beneath the Colonos hill. A small, heat-resistant plate with markings that appear to be a mix of ancient Greek and modern computer code. Your heart stops. The sleeper's message survived. You didn't just witness the 300. You became their eternal witness. You go to your balcony and look at the city. You see the lights, the noise, and the softness of the modern world. You realize that you missed the silence of Laconia. You have seen the peak of human discipline and the ultimate price of honor. You are no longer just a content creator. You are the man who stood with Leonidas. You are Sleeper the historian, and you have finally learned that the past is never dead. It is just waiting for someone to remember its name.